Welcome to the Startup Leaders Show, where we learn lessons from leading startup founders and executives. I'm your host, Lisa Dreher. I'm really excited to introduce our guest today, Janet Grondin. She is the CEO of Stellar Solutions. Welcome to the show, Janet.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so I see you're sitting in your car. I heard you're coming to us from where?
Live from Mountain View, California, from the SmallSat conference.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking a break to talk with us.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. It's a great conference, and we'll I look forward to getting back in there. But this is important too. So I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today.
Great. Well, perhaps maybe you can start by just giving us a little bit of background on on yourself and Stellar Solutions.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm Janet Grondin, CEO of Stellar Solutions. I've I had my career was essentially 26 years in the Air Force, working primarily in space acquisition programs, and about a little over 6 years now in industry, if my math is correct. I spent 3 years at Northrop Grumman. I was a director of overhead persistent infrared exploitation. And then at Stellar, I've been a systems engineer, a director, and a VP, and now CEO. And so Stellar is a small women-owned business. It was founded by Celeste Ford over 26 years ago, and the whole idea of Stellar is to put employees in their dream jobs and solve customer critical needs. That was Celeste's vision 26 years ago when there was only a couple people in the company, and that's our vision now. And that's how we implement, and that's how we execute. We are all over the space sector, over 200 employees, full-time employees, and then about 80 advisors. And we do everything across the systems engineering V, from concept development to architecture, trades, design, test, validation, launch, and operations. And we have a global footprint, three offices, one in Palo Alto, here not too far down the street from where I am today, an office in Denver, and an office in Chantilly, as well as London and Paris. And we are engaged across the spectrum of space customers, to include intelligence, defense, civil, commercial, and then, of course, our international partners.
Wow, amazing. That is just fantastic. What a fantastic career you've had. And wow, just it's so spectacular what Stellar has done over the years. Maybe we can start by having you talk a little bit about what have been the biggest keys to your business success so far.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, thank you. A great question. And so I would say really the key to success is alignment with the dream job and the critical need concept. I've learned at Stellar that when I've learned that people that are really happy and passionate about solving a particular issue, they're happy employees. The customer is satisfied. It's kind of a magical combination. And so we do spend a lot of time trying to align those two things for every employee and for every customer. So I think that's a huge differentiator for us. And then I think the other piece is really our collaborative environment, the knowledge sharing that we do. We have a concept we like to call boundary crossings. I've spoken about it a few times, but it's really, if an engineer at Stellar has a problem, they can raise their hand and they can ask the entire constellation for help. And so, in fact, we just had one of our engineers in defense. She had a customer who wanted to implement a new risk framework she'd never heard of, and so she asked the entire constellation, sent an email out, and someone in the Intel sector raised their hand and said, I don't really know that framework, but I can help break it down, and we can help you get what the customer needs. And that's kind of example of crossing boundaries. We do that a lot on the technical side as well. So the idea of everybody's happy in their dream jobs, the customers are satisfied, and now we're sharing data as well, is underpins kind of another area that we like to call buy two get 200. You buy two of us, and then all 200 of us will pitch in, if there's a problem that needs to be solved. And I think that kind of collaborative environment it feeds people's need to be able to, branch out a little bit and do something different, work with different people.
Sure. Wow. That just it sounds like a really special place to be a part of. Maybe we can talk a little bit about what the most valuable business lessons that you've learned over the years have been.
Well, I'm probably going to start sounding like a broken record, but I have to admit, when I joined Stellar and I was told, we're going to put you in your dream job. What is your dream job? I really didn't understand what that meant. And now I think one of the business lessons I've learned is um, actually focusing on the customer critical need, the employee's dream job. That combination is really magical, and it's kind of it helps us to sustain our business because we have happy employees, happy customers, and it's a different kind of model because there's a lot of work that goes into it, which by the way, I enjoy quite a bit. We spend a lot of time with our customers. We spend a lot of time with our employees, making sure that the employees have what they need to succeed, making sure our customers' critical need hasn't changed, or if it changes, that we're tracking. So I think that's really, to me, I've learned, I've seen it now, and we do manage the company that way. We will go through our financial review and ask those questions. Is this person in their dream job? If not, what are we doing about it? How are we going to get them in their dream job? So I don't think I ever would have thought about that combination if I hadn't come to work for Stellar.
Hmm. Is there anything that you would go back and change knowing what you know now?
Well, yeah, a lot, definitely a lot. But I think the one thing I would go back and change is, I would listen more and talk less. Right. I think that's basically. I think anybody in senior management would probably say about the same thing. Um, one of the initiatives we have at Stellar, like a lot of companies now, especially in the aerospace industry, is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the deeper I get into it, the more I realize, these issues have existed for a long time. And I think in our industry, we're kind of behind the power curve in addressing a lot of those issues. And so, if I maybe had listened a little bit more, my background, as I mentioned, it's military. So, I kind of always relied on the military system as being, fair and just, and it is. But there are hidden things in any system that that you gotta understand. I think, to understand from someone else's point of view. So yeah, if I were to do it all over again, I think I would listen more, and I would focus a little bit more on diversity and equity inclusion, before we are where we are right now in the industry, where it's like, yeah, we're behind and we need to need to get moving. Um, so there are plenty of other things that I would do differently, but that one's kind of on the forefront of my mind right now.
Sure. When you recruit, what are you looking for? So you kind of talk a lot about, well, how are you meeting your employee needs? What is it that Stellar Solutions is looking for in the people that they recruit?
Oh, that's a great question. So, well, the first thing I do when I have an interview is I'll ask the recruit, uh, what's your dream job? And, um, if they say, well, I want to be a PGA golfer, so we're obviously not on the same page. We don't do that at Stellar, um, but that's really kind of where the conversation starts. And then we look for people who are focused on the mission success. We are a high impact systems engineering company. We want to, people want to have to leave their families to go to work, or at least not pay attention to their families while they're on Zoom or whatever. It needs to make, we want it to make a, so we're looking for people who are not necessarily looking for um, top dollar, but they're looking to make a difference, and they want support and help to do that. And that's so that's kind of where I drive, and where what their passion is. That's really important to us. If the passion of the recruit is something that we do at Stellar, then the first thing I'm doing and the rest of the team is doing is looking for those opportunities where that passion can be unleashed and we can solve some problems.
Right. Have you changed I guess, the approach to where and how people work, either recently because of everything that's happened in the world over the last couple of years, or even before that? What is your, I guess, perspective on having people in the office versus, maybe working remotely?
Oh, it's a great question. So, it's almost become an aspect of the dream job. The interesting thing about, you know, when you talk to people, what's your dream job? Well, when they have no other factors in their life, it's going to be the technical problem that they want to solve. But we all have factors in our lives now, and some of us, we have kids at home or aging parents or whatever the case may be. And so the dream job tends to have maybe a tinge of, well, I need to be in a certain location, or now it's, well, I need to work, remotely. Um, and so a lot of what we're doing right now is trying to make sure whatever situation our employees need to be in, that we're working towards getting the job fit that they want, the location that they want, and helping them, succeed both in their personal life and in their professional life. And I think that COVID has changed quite a bit. We've had folks that just like, I want to work remote, and currently they work in the intel sector. So we have to find something that they can do from home, and so we go off and try to figure out what that is. And it's almost crafting a specific solution for every employee, and that's, right now that's what they need, and that's what we're doing.
Right, right. Okay. How have you dealt with either roadblocks or, like, sometimes as we're growing companies, and certainly Stellar's been around for so many years now, every once in a while you'll maybe run into where you've hit a plateau and you kind of, how do you scale past that? So
Yeah.
either, I guess, getting around those roadblocks or scaling past those plateaus, what have you found as being most effective in those situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I've definitely dealt with it on the industry side, probably more on the government side. But I think the answer is kind of the same. Uh, Entrepreneurial speed and pushing decisions down, supporting, being servant leaders, all of those concepts are really important, I think. So when you plateau, I mean, this was my experience in the military. We reached a plateau in one of the organizations that I took over, and what really happened was everybody everybody went up to the top for a decision. So what you had was, one person. Everybody had to wait in line to go talk to the colonel, and then the lieutenants and the captains. These are the guys that just came out of the academy or whatever with an aerospace engineering degree, and they're sitting around waiting for the lieutenant colonel to come out of the colonel's office to find out what they're going to do next. And it's like that. That's just, we can't operate like that, right? So what I did in the military is the same thing that I've done in the industry. Is I start, making sure everybody has their roles and responsibilities, flattening the organization, moving the decisions down, and then putting in metrics so I can hold people accountable. And that's a big process. It's a big change when you start with, a hierarchical structure, and you move to an entrepreneurial kind of flat organization. But it's what we're going to have to do. There's so many problems to solve, and I say that in a loving way because I'm an engineer and I love to solve problems. So a whole big bunch of problems is a great thing for me. And I look at what we're trying to do aspirationally, as a country, as in the world with space, and the challenging and complex problems that we have in front of us are just limitless. Just here at the small sat conference, listening to all of the folks talk about, you know the moving data and getting data down to the earth and to static users, mobile users, be it navigation or comms or whatever. we haven't solved a lot of the really hard problems associated with having, all of that activity going on in space, being regulated and commerce uninterrupted. Not to mention going to the moon and Mars and whatnot. So I think to kind of wrap this part up, what I would say is we have to all think really more like entrepreneurs. We have to enable and empower, um, especially the young people who have great ideas and they're bold and they're ready to go solve problems, and frankly, some of them know a lot more about how to solve those problems than people at the end of their career now because of all the technology that's involved. And so, you know, that's how I've handled it, and I think you just see it pick up speed, especially when you get an organic, group of folks that are passionate about something and want to move in a direction. That's, it's just it's a pleasure to see because you're not pushing it all the time, right? They're pulling, they're making it happen, and you're just helping to provide support and guidance, and it's a wonderful thing when you can get it to work.
No kidding. No kidding. So I want to end with one more question, and that is if you were to make one prediction about the future of, I don't know, space, satellite industry, what would that prediction be?
Well, I think for me, that prediction would be change is permanent, and by that, I would say accelerating technology. It's going to continue to outpace our ability to keep up, and so the threats are going to continue in space. We have to deal with adversaries or people that want to interrupt the commerce that's already happening and going to continue to happen. And so one statistic that I think is really interesting is the half-life of an engineering degree right now is estimated between 2.5 and 5 years. So a student earning a 4-year degree right now means that half of what they learn in college is probably outdated when they graduate. So if you think about that, and if you're a college student and you think about, predicting the future, just trying to imagine what the future would hold 40 years from now when, sitting in a spotlight, it's hard to even imagine, right? So that's the one prediction I have, which isn't very bold prediction, but it is. I think we're on a path of change that's just it's not going to stop. And maybe the lesson with that, or the punchline with that, is we need to be prepared, and we need to open up our industry to all kinds of people and kind of reduce the barriers of entry and help those young people grow into the leaders that we're going to need in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
No kidding. And hey, I guess that also points to the education never ends.
That's right. Education never ends. And yeah, lifelong learning. I think, if you asked about the stellar culture previously, I would say lifelong learning that's a common theme among stellar folks. And we learn from each other, and we do training and things like that. But, that's absolutely critical in the future. We all have to have that gene, I guess, going forward.
That sounds great. So is it still the case? I think we spoke a few weeks ago and it sounded like Stellar Solutions had some open positions. Are you guys still recruiting for some open positions?
Absolutely. We have them across the board in all of our sectors: intel, defense, civil, commercial, overseas. I think you go to our website and see what we have out there for jobs, and that's an indication of just the breadth of talent needed across the industry. So we touch
Great.
base with
So
so many.
so if somebody's interested in learning more about maybe joining Stellar Solutions, the best place to go is your website?
Absolutely. Stellarsolutions.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much again for taking a break from the Small Sat Symposium. Get back to it.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks a lot.
We'll,
Appreciate the
we'll talk
time.
to you again soon.
Bye bye.